Welcome to Antino2 Reviews with your host, Antino2. But before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe. In the summer of 2013, I received a rather large collection of records. Since the day I received them, I have tried going through each and every one to find some forgotten gems that I can add to my musical collection. Some records that I've come across have been classics that I was never aware of before, but others were flops that I could live with never listening to again. However, in this series, I'm going to be going through these records one by one and deciding whether to keep the record in my collection or to give it to Goodwill. Whether the full album is worth listening to or not, I will be including songs I consider to be highlights from each of these records in this review. I hope you enjoy. So this week, we're going to be reviewing the album Other Voices by The Doors. Other Voices is the 7th studio album by The Doors, released by Elektra Records in October 1971. It was the first posthumous album released by the band following the death of the lead singer Jim Morrison in July 1971, with keyboardist Ray Manzarek and guitarist Robbie Krieger sharing lead vocals. Tracks for the album had begun before Morrison's death, and the band hoped that Morrison would return from Paris to finish them. Following the success of LA Woman in 1971, the surviving members of The Doors continued as a trio to record their 7th album. Reflecting on the album in 2021, Robbie Krieger noted the band's difficulty to continue recording following Jim Morrison's death. It was a tough time, of course, when Jim was gone. We had kept going. The three of us were practicing all the time, writing new stuff. When Jim passed, we said, geez, what are we going to do? We could just give it up, or, we have all these songs. Let's go in and record and see what happens. We probably shouldn't have put it out that quick after Jim's passing. We just felt that was all we could do. We could have sat around and been depressed, which we were, but I don't know. The record company, Elektra, they were wanting us to continue. It wasn't that hard of a decision. The album was not released on CD until October 23, 2006 by the Timeless Holland label, along with the final Doors album, Full Circle. For years, The Doors largely disregarded the last 2 studio albums that were recorded without Morrison, and had no plans of reissuing the albums on CD. At the time, The Doors stated that they were not in possession of the master tapes, but remastered material from both the albums has appeared on various compilations, most notably the 1997 box set and the 2000 compilation, The Best of The Doors. So as regards my feelings and my thoughts about this album, when you're listening to it, you can hear that they're good musicians who play well together. But without Jim Morrison as the singer, they don't really sound like the same erratic, unpredictable band that they once were. If you're a Doors enthusiast, I would encourage you to definitely listen to it just for the sole reason of seeing how the band continues on without their frontman and how you can see their talent still shines through as musicians. However, as just a general enjoyer of 70s rock, I don't really feel like you necessarily need to listen to the full album. There's 2 songs that definitely stand out to me on this album. The first one being Ships and Sails. It's a track that I feel stands out because it kind of has like a drive and a direction. That was the reason why I liked the Doors to begin with. The other song of note is Hang On To Your Life. It's the last song on this album. And I do feel like in the beginning, it feels like a song that Jim Morrison's voice would have added a lot to. But then as the song goes along, you can see how it morphs into something different. And it's almost as if the transition is showing how the band has changed directions now. It's no longer leaning so heavily on Jim Morrison, but rather has to, unfortunately, lean heavily on the shoulders of the band. So it's interesting to see that transformation on this album. So the band is talented, however, and if you feel curious, it is worth a listen. And to any aspiring musician, I definitely would give this a listen. If you're trying to write your own music, trying to write an album, I would listen to see some of the aspects that they add to it. It's both creative and also very tight, well-wound music. However, after this review, I've decided that this album will not be staying in my collection, but rather it will be donated for someone else to discover. As a rating, I'd give it a 2 out of 5 stars. I appreciate the musicianship, but it's really not an album that I'd go out of my way to listen to again. However, underneath, you can click on the links for the 2 songs that I mentioned, and there's also another link I'm going to put where it just has the band, The Doors, who are playing live without Jim Morrison, and you can see how they are all play together and work together to accomplish that goal of continuing the band. So, do you have any thoughts or opinions? Feel free to share them with me in the comments below. I'm always looking for a new perspective. Unless, of course, you're over 50, then I could literally care less about what I got wrong in this review. I literally didn't live through those days, and my slight connection that I have is through these dusty records. It's the only thing that's tying this present day to those long forgotten days of the past. And as the album concludes, I'll say, life is like the wind. Where's it gonna end? Until next time, this has been Antino2 Reviews.